And we are back on the Financial Power Hour on IntellectualRadio.com. And I am here with Chuck Hughes and Carl West.
Yes, sir.
Let's give a clap. So, Mr. West,
Yes.
what is it that you do? Can you explain to the audience what you do?
Yes, I can. Thank you for that. First of all, I want to say I'm excited to be here. Thanks for the invite. It's always nice to go out and, first of all, to come to a great establishment like this, Sunday Night Barbecue. I can partake on some good ribs and those steak burgers are the best ever. And those big old steak fries, man, it's a wonderful treat to come out here for that.
Oh, yes.
And then also, Intellectual Radio has been around for a while. I know the proprietor. He's been doing great work in this digital space. He was a pioneer in this space, actually. Been doing digital radio for a long, long time. I know at least 10 years, at least 15 years. So good to support that and be out here. And then, as always, again, good to talk about what you do from a business standpoint. Hopefully, you can share some wisdom and knowledge. So I'm always excited about doing that. Now, I am the founder, publisher, editor, CEO of MG Media, which is doing business as TBT News. I also have a digital platform called TBT Biz. I actually have 5 digital content platforms, all in the written word. I got one deals with real estate called The Property. I got one deals with entertainment, sports and fashion called The Truth. And then I got one deals with politics called The Public Eye. And then my very first one that I launched is still active called TBT News. So yeah, I mean, what we do is we create, aggregate, and publish content in those different areas that I mentioned of platforms. So, but the very first one I created was TBT News, and that was kind of a general market, community-based platform, just really profiling the best and the brightest in our community. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. Still there. I've been in the business. I've been in business 22 years. But
let's give a clap.
Thank you. I've been in a digital space probably almost equal to my man with intellectual properties, because I started 14 years ago this past April. And I launched my first digital content-driven platform. Yep, that's me.
All right. Does TBT stand for something?
Yes, Truth Be Told.
Yep.
Truth Be Told News Service. That's what I call it. And that was the name of it originally. Then of course I abbreviated sometime after. But it made sense to do that. So I think it was an easy read that way.
Makes sense.
Yes.
I guess like what else I could ask you is, what advice would you give someone that wants to go in that field?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily give advice on that general field. One, only because the person I'm giving advice to, or the people, would have to indicate to me that that's their passion. I mean, I believe that you should do what you're passionate about. It's just an easier journey that way. It's a difficult journey in itself just to be an entrepreneur and to grow a business. But what makes it a little easier, is when you doing something that you're very passionate about. So I would necessarily, again, advise somebody in that space unless they indicate they want to be in that space. But just to be in business, let's just go with the general premise.
Yes.
First of all, have a passion. First of all, you gotta, be completely honest with yourself. And as you look yourself in the mirror and make a decision that you are built for this journey, because a journey it will be. And then you have to decide at what levels, because being in business there's levels to business. You have to decide what level you want to be at. Right. That determines the business model, right? You have to create that business model that will take you to where you may want to just be a community-based business serving
The community.
folks in the community. You
Mhm.
may want to be a business that's citywide, statewide, a national, a global.
Right.
The business model helps you define that. Even though the business model, for the most part, is the same, but it's just some components to it, the way you structure it, because you have to prepare yourself for that consumer base. If you're a consumer based product, and
Mhm.
most products are consumer based, whether it's people listening right now, they are consumers as
Right.
well, consumer of
Mhm.
this information. Are you somebody that's consumer of a physical product like food inside of a restaurant or
Right.
clothing inside of a department
Sure.
store?
Mhm.
But just be honest with yourself, because it's going to cost you. It's gonna leave scars,
Right.
and you had better be ready to accept that, and not have a soft skin where the first time you get a scar, you're ready to run home to mama. you know, if that's how you feel about it, then you might as well just,
Pack it up.
yeah,
Pack it up and go.
don't pack it up. Don't even start it. Don't even
Right.
take the journey. You got to worry about packing nothing.
Right. Right.
you know, yeah. 'Cause once you start packing, you in it. You better be in it,
Right.
because the minute you start packing, you've already made an investment,
Mhm.
and that investment don't come back when you quit. When
That's
you
right.
quit, it's gone.
Uh-huh.
It's money down the tubes. So yeah, that's what I would advise somebody on that wants to go into business in general.
All right. Mr. Hughes. Yes, Mr. Hughes. Um, earlier.
Well, let me say this. I agree with Mr. West in that you don't necessarily steer anybody into a certain area. You try to prepare them and encourage them in terms of where they're going. I was listening intently, and I'm impressed with all of the different kind of media and communicative entities that you are involved in, because information is important, knowledge is power,
Mhm.
and so rather than him steering somebody in a certain direction, I think he can provide principles that will help people no matter what their venture is, what their occupation is, or what they endeavor to do.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
What was your question before I interrupted?
Thank you.
No.
I would have forgot because I was listening. That was just so important what he was saying.
No, I was just gonna say, was there anything else that you wanted to add it on? but you did.
He did.
You did.
Well, yeah. I mean, really, I agree with him also that this is a great idea to be able to share this information, because let's face it, it's not as easy for us. It's not easy for anybody, but it's definitely not as easy for us when we endeavor in business,
Mhm.
because automatically our market is smaller to begin with.
Right.
And then when you start learning and listening and being able to spread what you do through vehicles like what he provides or what other people provide,
Mhm.
then you can branch out and hopefully garner a customer base from the greater majority of the population. But I just, again, the only thing I could add is I'm happy to be here as well, because we're in the business of helping each other. We are our brother's keeper. And so if this helps anybody, then you have to you have to give a blessing to be a blessing.
Right.
Let me add something to what this gentleman just said that's important when he's talking about our market is small. Not just even that, in addition to, based on just the history, our journey and our through whatever and our history, you got to almost. It's unfortunate, but it's just the reality, and we have to live in a world of realities. You have to educate consumers to what it is, to why it's important for you to look at a restaurant like this as a viable place to come. You got to almost educate consumers, your consumer, our market, as he stated.
Mhm.
We would hope that if you open up an incredible establishment like this, and you promote it the necessary way, because you have to promote it, any product for that matter, that you would hope that people would just come in the doors, if nothing else, just to test it, see it, just to
Mhm.
experience it.
Right.
And then from there, you can win them on the quality of product, quality of service, cleanliness of the establishment. But unfortunately, we got to almost go out. We don't only have to promote it, we have to then educate of why you should come and support me. And I hate to use that word support, but you almost have to do that
Mhm.
because I shouldn't have to get you to support my restaurant. I should get you to come and do business with me. It's a business transaction. You come and get a service and a product, and I, in return, get the money for that.
Right.
It's a business transaction. It's not that you support me. We doing business. We have to think about it that way, that we are always in business mode. I don't care what side you sit on. How
Mhm.
you spend your money is a business decision.
Right.
How I abstract money out of your pocket is a business decision.
Mhm.
And I have to give you something of quality for it. And so that's one of the difficulties that we have, unfortunately. I believe that we're getting better as the years go on and as we continue to be in business and more people are in business. I think people start to understand that because, because when you're in business, you understand how business is done. So that I wanted to add to that, not just the market is small, that's very important, but we also have to educate our market on how to be a great consumer base.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Mr. West. We actually touched on those points early on in the broadcast.
Yes.
So you just reiterating what we talked about, and I agree with you. It has to be that balance. Uh, we want, as far as I can tell, I think this business is minority owned, and to his point, we have to educate the consumer. We're not telling them to come just because it's black,
Right.
but come because it's black. But then
Right.
the other part about it, come because you're getting quality service. It works both ways. Because as he pointed out, you want to hook, you want to get people in. But when you get in, you certainly can't. Can I help you? You
Mhm.
want some? And we see that, and you just can't do that. Those are recipes for being knocked out of business
Mhm.
because people will say, you know what?
I don't like
I'm gonna
that.
go to the restaurant down the street.
Mhm. I don't like the tone.
Yeah.
No. I was just saying like. I'm sorry. I was just saying like how people like the way that you explained it, saying, "How can I help you?" It's just people's tone that turns people off
Well, you can't
from
do
going to
that.
that business. Yeah, you can't do that.
You'll be closing your doors.
And,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because people, listen, folks they're paying for the quality of the product, but they're paying for service too.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there and people act like they don't want to be bothered. But then you got to think about those are the ones bringing your food out. And
Yeah.
that has
Right.
nothing to do with color.
And that's across the board in any product, right?
Right,
I've
right.
seen I've seen a restaurant with great product and terrible service go out of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can have and you can have great product, great service, and you can be in a shack
Right.
and grow up and just people be lined up at that shack
They got
trying.
places like that,
Yeah, I
New
know.
Orleans,
Yeah.
places
Mhm.
like that.
They don't spend that
Man,
much.
this is that famous place.
Yeah.
But man, the food is good and they treat you like a king.
Yeah, because that's the business model they choose. Yes, ma'am. No, I don't know who Turkey. I don't know. I never heard of that. No. I just know of businesses that again don't focus. I mean, if I had literally today knowing what I know, and because being in the restaurant business isn't my passion, right? Like it is Vance. As long as I've been knowing Vance, he's been involved in this kind of business. But if I did find myself wanting to go into this business as an investment, I literally would have a hole in the wall joint, literally. But I would have the best stuff coming out of that hole in the wall that folks would be lined up around the corner. So for me, I would minimize all of me because this is not my passion. It's the passion of Vance to give you all of this. And he
Mhm.
has the right to do that as his business model. He give you all this. He sat down and constructed all of this just so he can give it to you because that's was his business model. I would have a different business model because that's his passion. It's not mine. This for me, it would be an investment. And I would try to how to minimize my investment to maximize my outcome. I would have a hole in the wall. I would have the best slider burgers you ever seen in your life. And everybody be lined up to get 3 burgers for 3 sliders for $15 and some chips. That's all I'm giving you. But they'll be lined up to get it because the burger would be so doggone good and they wouldn't know it'd be the turkey burgers, them steak burgers they got here. I would slice them in quarters and sell them in quarters as sliders. It was just chips. And I would have you can't even stand up and enjoy. Just come to the window and order.
Right.
You can't even sit down.
Play checkers.
You can't do nothing except order the food, go stand to the side and wait your turn.
Yeah, but since Vance is here though, we're gonna have to accent fine dining
absolutely
and quality living.
Yes, sir.
This is where he is right now.
And I wouldn't be nowhere around him though. I'd be down in the low end.
I know.
I
This
go
is
right
where
through-
he is.
Right.
Yeah.
And so again, it goes back to the service that we talked about and attitude and how people feel welcome, that kind of thing. Because this is the business he's in.
Yeah.
It's a nice establishment, and that needs to sell as well to our people and to the community at large.
Again, it's the when you go into business, it goes back to my first point is you got to sit down and decide what's your business model going to be, right?
Right.
And so once you figure that out, and then you can go from there. But you have to know what that business model look like. You have to be able to envision it, and then you can construct it. And then because it's going to be different, because there's nothing new under the sun in terms of a business, right? For the most part, it's just what you're going to offer that's going to make you stand out in your business model than somebody else. So anyway, what else? Next question.
You know what? You caught me off guard.
No, I didn't. You always on guard. You got it.
Yeah. Well,
you got it.
all right. I guess my next question is, what's
You just called me off guard. Go ahead.
like, what's the passion of doing this?
Risk reward, man. That's not. I mean, life is a gamble already. See, this is what makes it easier for me as a business person when I look at it. A lot of people I talk to are afraid to take the journey, take that risk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, every time you wake up every day, man, you walk out that door, man, you live in a risk. I'm not talking about from a violent standpoint. I ain't talking about afraid for your life. I don't ever think about that. That don't even cross my mind. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about just the journey of life itself is a risk. How are you going to survive? How are you going to provide for your family? It's a risk already. Mm-hmm. When you have a job, a place of employment, a career, is a risk every day because you don't know if somebody going to tell you this is your last day. You don't know that.
Right.
If you're able to sustain through years and decades and retire from there, God bless you. But the reality is you don't know. So I figure you might as well take that risk and bet more on yourself from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep. If you are going to do it, if you have a desire, take the risk. I mean, because all you can do is fail. Or if you call it that, I don't ever call it failure. I call it you just had a challenge that was too big for you to handle at that moment. Mm-hmm. And what you're going to do, you're going to go and retool yourself and you're going to come back and figure it out. Either you're going to do that, something else, or something else. But you ain't going to, it ain't the end of the world, it ain't the end of life.
Right.
You will, I mean, we we are resilient people. You will find a way to provide for yourself, right? And I always look at stray animals, and you don't see them laying out dead.
No.
You see them in the alleys figuring they find out how to survive. Mm-hmm. They find out how to do it, even in the wild. They find out how to survive, and you ain't gonna never catch no animal dying of starvation. They might get hit by a car, but they ain't gonna die of starvation. They're gonna find a way to survive in the wild. And we live in the wild. We live in the wild. It's just a civilized wild.
But that's to answer your question about passion. If you're going to invest your time and your money and taking it away from your own self and your family or whatever, nobody needs to tell you to be passionate. You better be very passionate about it. You better put forth all the efforts you can, and then if it gets to where he suggested that it's not for you, because I'm not going to use the F word either, then it's inevitable, and you did all you could do. But if you don't have any passion, what are you doing? What are we talking about?
Exactly.
You need to go to the monastery or something. So you better be very passionate and thinking about ways how I can make my business work, how I can bring people in those doors, how my bottom line could balance, and I so a profit, and we're trending upward. Man, you should be as passionate as these guys are going to be in the Olympics, trying to win medals or whatever.
Right.
You got to be overly passionate.
And my last word on that: don't be afraid of the challenge, man. Right. Don't be afraid of the challenge.
Okay. Another question. I was going to say another question I have is social media. How do you think social media plays into having a business?
I mean, it didn't for the Rockefellers. It didn't for the Kennedys. It didn't for John H. Johnson, the founder of Jet Magazine. I don't put too much credence in that. My business just happened to be online, digital.
Mm-hmm.
But as I stated before, I had my first magazine out of college. It was a physical printed product for 10 years. Digital today just give you an easier means and a more cheaper means in which to produce and promote your product. Doesn't cost as much, right? Because of the digital space.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's probably it. Now, if you want to go into some other form of it, as an influencer, people are influencers and they made that their business, and then they relied completely heavily on the digital space. But just for a typical business to be successful, the internet isn't required. It can be helpful if you understand how to use it, but it's not required.
Carl, I think it's required.
Okay.
Because I think every in any kind of way you can promote your business is necessary, because nobody has all the business they want. Most people don't. Most folks are trying to get business. And let's face, you know what? I used to criticize the young people, my granddaughters. First thing they do is get in the car, they on their phone. They ain't saying hello, they ain't talking, they ain't doing nothing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, but guess what? I'm not too far away from my phone either these days. We've evolved that all of my appointments are in my phone, my information. I was a media person for a while too, and the newspapers are dying.
Yeah,
the magazines are dying,
mm-hmm.
and folks are going on this internet. And I think that you would be doing yourself a disservice if you're not taking advantage of it. But to his point, I don't think that should be your sole source of trying to refer your business. Remember, we talked earlier about activities, events, going to different events, talking to people, learning more, judging what the competitors are doing. I mean, there's a myriad of things that you need to do. And then you in the digital business. How can you down the digital business?
I'm not down it. Hold on. I didn't down it. The question was, is it necessary to win with it? The answer is no.
Might take you over
no.
the hump.
It is correct.
Both of you are correct.
It understand how to use it to benefit you, but it's not to win. And I'll go back to what I said before. The Rockefellers didn't have it. The Kennedys didn't have it. It doesn't. But how you run a business is the same. How you run a business is the exact same way. And there are so many companies that are billion-dollar companies that do not use the internet at all. They billion-dollar companies.
Silicon Valley, they don't have it. They create
That's
the
all I'm.
internet.
That's all
You
I'm
know?
saying. I ain't say Silicon Valley. There are construction companies. There are apparel companies. There are companies that do not use the internet for the success of their business,
Carl, when
and they build
started-
billion-dollar
when they-
businesses.
Hey, we can fight that. When they started up, Carl, when they started up, you know, there was no internet or whatever, so they did what they had to do. Now, it was a different time.
We didn't say if you started a business. We just said running a business does that enhance? It enhances your ability to win. I'll say it again, yes. But if you didn't have it, would that stop you from running a successful business? Absolutely not. It depends on how you lay out your business model. And I'm gonna go back again. The Rockefellers, the Kennedys, these cats didn't have it. They didn't have cell phones. See, we get caught in thinking because popular culture has shown us that this is the easier. Matter of fact, it is a hindrance to people who don't know how to just do business, because just doing business means me and you face to face. You got a product, we shaking hands. Look, the internet has nothing to do with somebody walking in that front door. Let's think if they didn't see Vans, this restaurant on the internet. They just happened to drive by. They drove by, saw the restaurant, decided to come in, and everybody who works here, from the person at the door, from the bartender, from the server, from the cook, all treated that customer extremely well. Again, like a business partner. That person will go tell somebody, before you know it, they would create a business that is flourishing, and it never came from anybody using the internet. Those days still exist. Doing business face to face, because a lot of times now there's no personal touch anymore with the internet. And I know that it been in the business, but I got people with me unless I come see them. I sit with them, shake their hand, look them in their face, and have an engagement over a period of time before they say, "Oh, I want to do business with you." Had nothing to do with, they ain't even seen me online. That still exists today, and I don't ever want people to lose reality of that fact. That's all I'm saying. It can enhance your business, but I'm telling you, it's like the wheel. The wheel will never go out of fashion. You can add new rims on it, but that wheel is the perfect formula for how you roll a vehicle and any other thing. The way you do business will never change. Two people, face to face,
Right.
having the commonality, and we decide that if we want to do business based on that commonality, we shake hands and we do business.
I agree with you, but you know it's a but.
You're gonna keep saying
There's a
but.
but.
You're gonna
There's a
keep
but.
saying but.
I agree with
Well,
you.
I ain't gonna say nothing else after
I
your
agree.
but.
I agree with you, but let's take a business like this.
Sure.
Van's doing a face to face, a one on one with somebody.
Uh-huh.
How many customers he gonna get during the day during that?
If he walked down this street right now, if he went to the mall over there and just sat in the mall all day, passing out flyers and just giving samples of rib tips to people, he know what to do. He can build up traffic just by doing that. Internet has nothing to do with that.
All right.
Not one thing to do
All
with
right,
that.
let me say this.
There we go.
This is just my
Say
own.
but. Just say but again.
But
Hey, we gotta do this again.
Yeah,
I'm having
but-
fun. But let me say this.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I'm the only one, but
And you're the oldest cat.
I am the oldest.
You're the oldest cat. They talking about most old cats like him.
Yeah.
Like they don't even deal with the internet. Oh, I don't want to talk about that.
But
That's
I
the internet.
didn't I say I did? I do.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's no wrong. There's no wrong. There's no wrong
I
answer.
agree.
There's
Well,
no wrong
basics-
answer.
listen,
Yes.
All right.
The basics don't change. You got to be fundamentally correct. But maybe it's just me, and I know we run out of time. But let me say this:
Yes,
maybe
sir.
I'm the only one
But-
that looked on social media and somebody say, "Man, they got this great soul food place in Michigan City. You got to try it." That ain't sitting in front of a mall and hope you run it. I'm gonna go try it. Folks gonna talk about this place, and I'm gonna go try it.
And
it's easier to reach more people.
And I'm gonna say one more thing about the internet. I say it can be a detriment. Do you know how many folks go on internet and dog a restaurant out and nobody goes? They don't even go to sample and try it. I've seen it. I had to check people because I'm like, wait a minute. And I checked, and these people are business owners. I'm like, you actually a business owner, and you don't understand how dreadful you are by dogging somebody else's spot out, and that spreads like wildfire. And the cat said, man, I was on my way, but I ain't going now because of so and so. It can also be a hindrance if it's not controlled the right way. I call it controlled chaos. I call the internet controlled chaos.
And we are going
But-
to. Oh.
No.
No, and we are going to end
They
on
won't let
that
us
high.
have fun anymore, Carl. They're taking our fun.
All right,
away.
man. I drove all the way out here, man. Y'all take my
Yeah.
fun from me.
We're going to end on that high note. So thank you for listening to the Financial Power Hour on Intellectual Radio.
Yay.
This is your host, Greg,
Yay.
signing off.
Yes, thank you.
But-
But let's go eat some rib tips.
No, I ate already.
Oh, okay.